Hey, we're here from beautiful Hamburg, New York, from the old fashioned bug. It's 6050 South Park. So, do you want to hear the Donnie Jr. robocall? I put it on Facebook, but I'm going to play it for you nonetheless. Here we go.
Hello. Hello. This is Donald Trump Jr., Western New York. There's a crucial special election on June 23rd, and I need your help to elect Chris Jacobs to Congress. Chris Jacobs is the conservative candidate for Western New York. He's the one we need. He will cut your taxes, secure our border, and always protect the Second Amendment. My father gave Chris Jacobs his complete and total endorsement because Chris strongly supports our vets, the military, and our incredible farmers. His opponent is another radical liberal who is supported by Nancy Pelosi and wants to be the AOC of Western New York.
Well, there you go. First of all, I'm not sure he can read. Second of all, they must be scared to be doing these types of tactics. And they played this they're not very good at their job because they played this not only in NY27, they played it in Jamestown. Where else did they come from? All over. People all over the region heard that advertisement. So, Donnie, wherever you are or whatever you're doing, God knows. A couple problems with your thing. Number one, Chris Jacobs is not a conservative. He's nothing. He is whatever he feels like that day. He was a Democrat. He was pro-choice not too long ago. He wouldn't say your father's name last year. He was embarrassed of your father. It's just, they want some power, okay? He wants to be elected. That's it. And not to help anybody, just to do whatever is good for himself. I mean, he doesn't even have a platform. So, Donnie, you're wrong about that. The second thing is, I don't want to be the AOC of Western New York. I don't want to be anything. I want to be your representative because I think what's happening in this region is terrible. It's not only the corruption, it's the... You guys take a look around? Does things look great? How does it feel in this country right now? Do you feel that we've had good leadership? You think Chris Jacobs has been a good leader for Western New York? What has he done? He voted against sick pay for COVID. He voted against health care many times, many different forms. So why are you voting for him? I need to know. I'm dead curious. I don't think it's a word. Did you say dead curious? Well, I just did. I don't understand what the deal is. Beyond that, let's talk about Chris Jacobs' case or the allegations against him. Did Chris Jacobs, did I have anything to do with the complaint? No. 0%. I don't know who did. I can guess, but I don't know who did. I talked to Beth Parlato this morning. I had a debate that Chris Jacobs refused to go to, and it seemed to me that she didn't do it either. So I don't know who did it. But it was cleared lickety-split. From what we're hearing, they sent in some big-time attorneys to the district attorney's office this morning, and within a few hours there was a press conference. Now, I don't find that acceptable. I think, why don't I find it acceptable? If the complaint had existed for a while, how could it be resolved so quickly once it was broken to the public? And what's with the press conference? Not even, there was a full-on press conference, right?
Yeah.
Not just a press release, a full press conference?
5 p.m. on a Friday.
5 p.m. on a Friday? Now, look am I alleging some grand conspiracy? No. I'm alleging the clear, obvious fact that the Jacobs and Chris Jacobs has undue influence, more influence than the average person. That he can get that type of power, that type of movement out of the district attorney's office that fast. Now, I'll be bold about it. I was a town supervisor. When we had to deal with issues, it would take months. I mean, months when we had hard evidence. Now, maybe the district attorney saw nothing in the complaint. Fine. But to do a press conference a few hours after you met with their attorneys, just before an election, when that thing was sitting on your desk for a week, I don't know, I'm guessing for more than just one day. So it just is really troubling that Jacobs have that type of influence. But we know that. We know that from their influence over the newspaper. We know that from their influence over so many things in our region. It's wrong. It's wrong. And now we're going to give them a congressman? Why? Because he's a conservative? He's not a conservative. He's nothing. Ask real conservatives. I had a debate with Stefan Mihailou and with Beth Parlato this morning. They don't think he's a conservative. And these are people who committed their lives to the conservative movement. So if you're going to be fooled by this stuff, go ahead. Now, am I saying that he should be thrown in jail? I never said that in the first place. I said it is clear. Listen, let me ask you, I'll reverse it. Does anyone out there really think he was living in his house in Orchard Park? Let's say there was no crime committed. Do you think he was trying to mislead you, possibly? Possibly? I mean, we saw the house yesterday on television. There was nothing in it. They were just moving boxes into it. He said he lived there for a while. Now, does that represent a trustworthy person? And that's at the very least, forget the crime. Because I understand the standard for proving a crime in this country. It's beyond a reasonable doubt. It's a very high standard. You can't just have a he said, she said situation. But let me ask you in your gut, do you really think he was telling the truth? And do you really think you, if you were in the same position, could have gotten it all resolved in 24 hours with a press conference? Really? You really think that would happen? Think about all the people that have been put in jail for petty crimes. People that have done barely anything, and they've wasted away for months in prison. And they didn't get a press conference in 24 hours. Even if you get a speeding ticket, you can't get it resolved in 24 hours. I mean, that's crazy. It really is. And I'm not afraid to say it. You may think it's too much for me to say it. You may think it's pulling me off course. But I have to say it. It's nuts. It's wrong. And I think the district attorney having a press conference on the same day, a day after the allegation, to quickly, nothing to see here, tidying it up, is wrong. And if you're hearing me, sir, listen, sorry. I think it's bizarre that it was resolved that fast. And the same day that his high-powered attorney came into your office. Now, it's America. Bad news. It's America, and I can say whatever I want to say. That's how it works. I can have opinion. That's a good thing about this country. Let's talk about some good stuff. So let's talk about the debate for a second. So we had that debate. It was great. It was really great. It really was. I appreciate WBBZ for having the debate. Home of some shows I like. Whoa. Where are you, Austin? Oh, he's in the back. Austin was telling me he watches a MASH on there. Yeah, he said he loves watching MASH on there. No, the people at WBBZ were great. Fun to talk to. It was fun. It was a fun experience. I think that, listen, Beth Parlato, I don't agree with her on anything. But she said, she had one answer that I thought was quite impressive about climate change. And as a human being, both before and after the debate, seeing her with her family, I could just tell she's a real person. And I could tell she's gone through a lot in this campaign. And she is fighting the same mega forces that I'm fighting, even if we're on both different sides of this. And man, I'll tell you what, it's good to see someone who's a bit of a fighter and an outsider and willing to speak their mind. Do I think she'd be good in Congress? No, I don't. And it's not anything to do with her personality, it's to do with her belief system. But as a human being, she's a person of worth, I could tell you that. Stefan, I've had a bad time with Stefan. He lobbied and fought for Chris Collins, but which I thought was despicable, still do. But Steph and he was very cordial to me, and I was very cordial to him. Dwayne Whitmer, he talked about his libertarian belief system, which is very different than my belief system. He seems to think that government is the source of all problems, when I think that we already have a big government. It's just serving the wrong people. Well, not people at all. It's serving the corporations of the world rather than the people of the United States. It's not about the size of government. It's about who's it serving. And, right now we have the biggest government we ever had under President Trump. But we had a good time at the WBBZ debate. It was a lot of fun. And the video will be up Monday on WBBZ at 7 o'clock. And with that, let's see who's on the line. We'll see if you take your questions, if any. Looking it up. Sorry. Don't wait, guys. Sorry. Looking it up, Torin. Sorry about this. Comments.
Oh, he talked about his libertarian belief system, which is very good.
Oh, I was sad to read your post that Jacob's caught up in the absentee ballot. No, he's up in the early ballot vote for Erie County, according to the numbers we have right now. Early ballot. Republicans are up for the special election. There's been very few votes cast, very few, but he's up. And my job is not just to give you fake information, it's to say, hey, rally the troops. You got to get out to the polls. Do you really want, I played that Donnie Jr. thing in the beginning. Do you really want Donnie Jr. and his team to steal this election? I hope not. You got to get out to the polls. And right now, not enough people are going to the polls. And here's the problem. Most Democrats and people that are like-minded, moderate Republicans, they believe the coronavirus is real. And they don't want to go to the polls. And I know some of you have also applied for absentee ballots and have not received your ballots, but you got to get to the polls. That's what we got to do. Michael Slater, how are you, sir? Good to see you on here. Alice, how are you? Good to talk to you, Alice. And he's still running the ad. He's still running the ad. Well, yeah. I mean, here's the thing is, we're all caught up in this petty stuff, right? We're caught up in this stupid nonsense about, Nate tweeted this 5 years ago or so. It is aggravating when they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on ads that are just full of lies that have been recognized by multiple organizations as lies. I mean, for the Jacobs to say that I never sent a job to China. Let me say that again. I not only never sent a job to China, even if I wanted to, I never had the power to send a job to China. I explained this in great detail previously. And if people are falling for that, they may be, I worry.
Your boss discredited it.
What's that?
Your old boss discredited it.
Well, yeah, there was a whole story about that. And the last time I ran, we went through this. The New York Times investigated it. They went to Korea. They went to China. They asked my former coworkers. They're like, he advised American companies on the liberalization of the American market to help American companies. I mean, it's just nonsense. If you hear frustration in my voice, it's frustrating because we live in an era of post-truth. The Delaware North Corporation can send jobs overseas to India, and there's not a word about it in the local papers. And because we're a grassroots campaign, we're not able to saturate every single inch of television telling the truth. So instead, people right now are being convinced that I'm some type of evil corporate attorney. When I'm unemployed, guys. I'm unemployed. Look, I'm trying to figure out ways to pay for health care for my family. This whole campaign is symbolic of what's happening in America today. Mistruth, deception, and corporate power bearing down on our democratic process. And I don't know what to say. It's very sad that we've gotten to this point. Yeah, but go ahead, Chris, if you want to win by lying. And by the way, Donnie Jr., I really wish AOC would, or Nancy Pelosi would say, I was her hand-picked heir. Maybe you should help with our campaign a little bit and give us some cash. Unfortunately, that's just not true. We've got nothing from them. What else is here? You radical liberal, you. Kelly, how dare you? F that guy, sorry. Yeah, Mary, I agree with that. I mean, I won't add the F part, but I get it. I agree with that. I mean, this is crazy. This is so crazy. But how can we get you guys excited to get out to vote? I know you're trying, so I don't want to be too hard on you. I know everyone that's watching these videos is trying desperately to get people out to vote. And our team, how many calls did we make today?
1,000.
1,000 calls? Wow. Really?
Not even a scheduled phone bank. That's just
So what are we hearing in the calls?
People are getting their ballots in. If they haven't gotten their ballots already, they're going out to early vote because they know how important.
How's the early vote thing going? Because the numbers out of Erie today, this made me a little concerned.
We just got the ballots returned, absentee ballots from Erie County. 57,000 ballots have been returned in Erie County alone in this district.
And how much did we expect the turnout universe to be originally?
40,000
For the whole,
district.
so did you guys get that? For the whole district, we originally estimated 40,000 people would vote. And we've already had 57,000 ballots returned for Erie County. So this is going to be, by the way, we are not going to have a election night party. Because number one, we're going all the way to November. Number two, they're not even opening the absentee ballots until 8 days. So guys, buckle in. This is a long journey here. We got at least 5 months to go. What else did you say?
About our volunteers today, they were just making calls to make calls. There was no scheduled phone bank. They came in and helped us out because they needed to.
So we had a huge chunk of information from Erie today. So early voting is very small, but we're behind. Absentee is very big. And do we know the breakdown of the absentees?
We'll know that tonight.
We'll know that tonight. But we know there's a ton of absentee ballots.
In terms of absentees and early votes combined that are in our system, we're still ahead.
Yeah, we know that, but we got to hold it on, and we have to be way ahead to hold on during Election Day. Because Election Day, we're probably going to lose 70% of the vote. So we need to be way up. So you guys got to go out there and vote. We're running out of time. Usually 1/3 approximately, at the most 1/3 or 25% will come from absentee ballots. So you got to think that's how many people are going to vote on Election Day. It's a lot of people. And we live in a district that's so lopsided. I mean, Chris Jacobs would not win in any other district in this New York State. He wouldn't win. He would not win. He just wouldn't come close. I mean, this is so lopsided as far as enrollment. But that's why we need to get you guys out to vote. So get out to vote. I mean, honestly, I'll tell you the truth. If I knew what I knew today in 2018, would I have run in this district? Yes, I would have. Because it's been the greatest joy of my life. Now, from a political career perspective, no. I mean, I picked the worst fight to have. I would have picked a million other easier fights, including primarying somebody, to be perfectly frank, if I was career driven. And some people wanted me to do that. But I just knew this was the right fight to have. If I pick this fight, the right fight to have, what is this? If I pick this right fight to have, I need you guys to help me with the fight. Okay, what else? Comments here. What time tonight on the absentees? Probably pretty late, Chuck. How about a virtual party, tea and chatting? Well, yeah, Alice, maybe we'll do that. I went to vote today at the Welcome Center. I was the 31st voter, about 11 a.m. Well, that's pretty good, Alice. That's a lot of voters. Periscope. I'm on Periscope?
Yeah.
So I'm on Twitch and Periscope?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Do you know what that is? I don't know what
Periscope, it's a live streaming app.
Twitter's live streaming.
Oh, that's what Twitter's live stream is. I didn't know that. I thought.
that is. Learned something new today.
Can you turn the volume up on our end? It's really quiet. Maybe. We'll try. Chris's ad was ridiculous. Yeah, it's the craziest thing I ever saw in my life. What's up with Parlato getting the response ads done early? You'll have to ask Parlato. As far as I know, there's no way you can turn around ads that quickly. I mean, that was like, boom. Jacobs was just on WZ and was complimenting them for being an independent voice in the media controlled by a handful of corporations pushing implied liberal ideas. Well, listen, WBBZ, I'm not happy with you if that's the case. Because he should have showed up to our debate. What's his name, Phil?
Phil Arno.
Phil, what's up? Phil, you said you kind of made an excuse for him at our debate saying there was scheduling concerns. Why is everybody in Western New York making excuses for this guy? Why? Phil, come on. If you think you're going to get some of that Jacobs cheddar, keep dreaming. It ain't coming your way. Drives me crazy. He didn't show up to the debate, and then you gave him a separate spot. Is that what you're telling me? Is whoever said this, is that what you're telling me? Nate, why couldn't Alice vote in the special? Because she lives out of the district. Bev Kinney's watching. Hey, Bev, how you doing? I know you can't say much, but how you doing? Julianne Moran Wise is watching. Hey. Jane Cass, hey, how are you? Cindy says she got 14 votes because Dems I talked with either A, didn't realize there was an election, or B, didn't know there was early voting. Yes, that's the thing, guys. Lots of people do not know there's an election. You taking off? Oh, nope. I thought you were waving to me. Lots of people do not know there was an election. They don't even know. You got to tell them. Right? Thank you.
Right.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Bob, Jacobs was on WBBZ. That really is infuriating. Because all of us took time out of our schedules to go to that office, and we were told he refused to debate us. We were told he refused to debate. If you're a Republican or a conservative, how can you stand this right now? He would not debate people in his primary. I debated Dwayne Whitmer. No problem. I debated Stefan and Beth. Why wouldn't he show? And then for him to come on afterwards and say, oh, I get my special treatment? This guy's gotten his special treatment. Okay, he got a special treatment today from the DA. Certainly looks like that, right? He got a special treatment by the Buffalo News. I don't even know what that editorial was. I'm going to get that editorial framed and put it on the wall of my house because it was the most bizarre thing I ever saw. You think this guy really earned his way into college? Come on. I'm speculating here, but it seems like he's had a life of privilege and cushion. Have you had that type of life? I certainly haven't. How about you, Sam? Have you had that type of life?
Every day. Hashtag blessed.
Hashtag blessed. Nate, thanks for coming on the New York Students for Biden. We have been making phone calls all week. Jordan, thank you. Can I get a round of applause for Jordan, the Students for Biden? Jordan, that's what's going to make the difference is those phone calls, I'm telling you. And I know the Students for Biden are great. Can I tell some Biden stories since we have a moment?
Please.
I got one sad look, one happy look, so I'm going to go with the happy look.
Curious.
When Joe Biden came to visit us, it was fun. Did I tell these people this story before? Yes, it was fun. It was very fun. I told them, or did I tell you?
Told the Students for Biden.
I told the Students for Biden. I didn't tell. So, number one, we had to get a car. That was one of the rules. And some people think we had control over this event. We had no control. They gave us an email that day and said, these are the things you need to get done. So we're like, okay, we'll get it done. So we needed a car and a driver. And we would have preferred a big rally. They didn't want that. They said, we want to meet with you one-on-one. Boom. I said, all right, good. So we did what they asked to do. And they said, bring a driver. So who was the driver? I asked my little brother to be the driver. And my little brother said, oh, I don't know what to do. I said, just show up and look professional. So he showed up in a suit, a black suit with a white shirt and a black tie, like John Wick, with gloves on. And I said, you look like a hitman. Lose the gloves. I don't want the Secret Service to knock you out. So he drove him around all day. And he said Biden was very quiet, very gentlemanly, just a nice guy. And then when we were with him for a while. I mean, we spent most of the day with him, and we had lunch with him. From what I remember, it was. What did you think?
It's fun.
It was fun.
I thought it was going to be 15 minutes.
We thought it'd be 5 minutes, and it was a while. And he was a very gentle guy, like a very soft-tempered and easygoing guy. That was the day there was pipe bombs at his house, and I could see he was very emotional about it. He went in the back, called his wife, took me in the back and talked to me about it, said it's a horrible time for our country. I said, yes, it is, sir.
You guys shared blueberry pancakes?
We shared blueberry pancakes. He was very nice. He was a very nice guy. That's what I'll say. My impression walking away from him, he's a very decent human being and a very good guy. Do I agree with everything he's ever said? No. Nope. But I could say among the politicians I've met, which most of them are not nice people, he is exceptionally nice. And I was grateful. Did I freeze up, Torrin? Oh, I was grateful to meet him. He was very keen to talk about my background and my experience. He wanted to know more. But he was a great guy. And that's why I never threw him under the bus during the primary. Because this guy stuck his neck out for me. I want to stick out my neck out for him. And at least I'll tell people the truth, which is that he was a very decent human being. Someone that I appreciated meeting and I appreciated the time. Denise Coffey's watching. Hey, Denise. My daughter got over 1,800 likes for sharing early voting info to her 20-something friends. They responded on the Black Lives Matter issue. She got messages and reshares saying a lot of her friends went out to vote. Thank you, Jane. If we're going to win this election, it's the young vote. You know what bothers me is when, oh, you guys hear that? Is that thunder?
That's thunder.
It's raining.
Cool. What bothers me is sometimes when I see Jacobs with very young people, and I'm like, why are you guys with this guy? I mean, I don't get it. He's against all the things that were going to help their lives. I mean, student loans, health care, I don't understand it. I really don't. I'm generally think I'm pretty good with people, but I just don't get when people vote against their own interests. Thunder in Hamburg, Polly. Yeah, you were just here, crackling up above us. Guy Turchetti's on. Hey, Guy. Sean Stanton is on. Hey, Sean, thanks for using my ID on your logo. I wonder what a silver spoon tasted like. I don't know. Probably not good. Let's get Bob on the line. Chris, hey, you're back. How you doing? Ann? Goat. Who's the goat, Ann? Thomas Own Mice. Hey, Thomas. Thunder. Yeah, that's what it is. Thomas, you're a Bernie fan. I got a Bernie fan right here. He won't let go of him. He loves him.
Check my car, check my computer.
His whole life is Bernie. You got a Bernie tattoo?
Not yet.
What's it going to be?
We'll figure that out. We'll get it together.
Jane says she put her dog in a McMurray sandwich board today and walked him around.
Yeah.
Get out the dogs. Who let the dogs out? Jane Cass did. She did.
Bark.
Sorry.
Bark. We're waiting for you to bark.
It's a belief that even if they are poor, they think it's only temporary because they become millionaires too. Well, the reality is the chances of you becoming a millionaire today if you're born poor are lower than they ever were. Lower than they ever were. The chances for you for going from the status you were born into versus the status that you may have the potential to become and to leave your class, so to speak, or your station in life, it's very different than it used to be. America does not have that potential. It never was as good as it was cracked out to be, but it's worse than ever right now. And why? Because the unions are being destroyed, and people like Chris Jacobs call the unions big labor. By the way, I'm proud of my Teamsters endorsement.
Woo!
Proud of my nurses, the nurses endorsement today.
Nurses, yeah.
Proud of the AFL-CIO endorsement. Who else?
Oh, yeah, somebody else came in today too.
Another one came today?
The League of Humane Voters.
The League of Humane Voters.
Animal lovers.
Animal, oh my goodness. Thank you, League of Humane Voters. You know I love animals. I didn't know that. They came in today's endorsement.
I just
Rattle off some more endorsements. Who else we got?
Machinists.
Machinists. Yes, they're
Painters.
the first ones ever to endorse me were the machinists in Seneca Casino. And I'll never forget it. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. SEIU's endorsed me. The painters were one of the early ones too. My dad's union.
the New York AFL-CIO.
The New York AFL-CIO. That's a big deal.
Big deal.
Teamsters, NALC, right?
Mm-hmm.
What else?
That's the letter carrier.
Also, I'm proud to be endorsed by Planned Parenthood and the National Organization of Women and the Sierra Club. Yes. Let's talk about Planned Parenthood for a second. Because we're not supposed to talk about it. Let's talk about it. I will always support a woman's right to choose. And that's not because it's simple. It's a complicated issue. It's a medical issue. That it's not as simple as accountability or bad mistakes. It's much more complicated than that. We all know that. You know that. I know that. It's not that simple. It is a much more complicated thing. And it's an issue that if you have strong religious beliefs, you have a right to those beliefs. But we live in a society where you do not have the right to enforce your own religious beliefs on others. And I wish we talked more about the life of a child rather than just the birth of a child. Because many women do take the difficult decision not to have, or to have a child, not to have an abortion. And the problem is, because if we don't,